Hello, once again, I'm Councilman Darue Bryant. I'm here with the City Manager of Clinton, North Carolina. Just want to address a few concerns of our constituents who live in our community. With everything that's going on with the coronavirus, there are a lot of questions and concerns. So I have with me today the City Manager, Tom Hart. And just one of the questions that many of our viewers are concerned about, are there going to be any changes in the city services that they provide?
Well, so far we've been very fortunate that we haven't had significant changes in the services that we're delivering. We've found some new ways of providing those services, but by and large we are still providing the vast majority of them. There are some logical things that we talk about, these activities that are impossible to do while social distancing. So sports leagues have been just recently canceled for the remainder of this season. We don't feel as though we can do car seat installations. We're not doing fingerprinting, which requires people to be right next to each other. They got to hold your hand and put it on, so there are a very limited number of activities that we have had to just completely put a cease to. But by and large, we are here. We are providing all of the core services that people come to expect.
Okay. With mention of the sports and the recreation department, I heard the governor say that they're considering opening up some of the parks, and I don't know if that was limited to the Raleigh area or is that across the state? And if it is across the state, what does that do as far as the playground and the playground equipment?
Yeah, my understanding, in fact, I was looking at it this weekend, is that the state parks have been quite a bit of a mixed bag. Some of those facilities are open, parts of them aren't, the visitor centers aren't, but the open space is. Our Parks and Recreation open space has remained open throughout this. So our athletic courts, we've tried our hardest to keep those open. All of the walking trails and things like that, we've been able to keep open. The playgrounds being one of the exceptions, because anybody who has kids knows that the playgrounds were kind of a petri dish at the onset of this, to be completely frank about it. So the playgrounds are currently closed under the governor's order. Our understanding is that they are included as part of phase 2, as something that can reopen in phase 2. And of course, we're going to look at local conditions and what sort of accommodations we might be able to make to make them, a little bit extra safe just for our citizens. But we kind of take this day by day, and we do expect to have them back open sometime during phase 2, I hope.
All right, that sounds good. In addition to the city services, I considered the utilities. I noticed the trash, they're still being picked up on a regular basis. But in regards to utilities, some people were asking about, late fees or whether their water is going to be turned off, what the situation is.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so the city, and in fact, with the blessing of the city council, we had already started to move in a progressive direction with regard to this. So we had already taken some steps to start to ease that burden, just knowing that, we weren't going to be able to accommodate a high volume of people coming in to pay their bill, or just knowing that, people were going to have a harder time paying it because of economic hardship. So we had already started to move towards, some progressive policies to stop disconnections. Very hard in the middle of a pandemic when the advice from public health officials is wash your hands, to go and cut off somebody's water because they owe you $10. That just was not something that we were going to be doing. So we had already started moving in that direction. And then of course the governor's executive order basically stopped all late fees and disconnections for, I think it was signed in for at least 60 days, and required that once that bill, now the bill is still due, we just can't cut it off for non-payment. So, at the end of this grace period, those bills are going to be due again. But there is some fine detail language in the governor's order, and again, this is stuff that we would have been doing anyway, which is, making payments or arrangements with people, allowing them to take their time to get that paid off, because we do know this is a very financially challenging is probably understating. It's a financially catastrophic situation for a lot of people in our community.
Right. And I think not only about the residents, but I'm also concerned about many of the business owners because of the orders who had to close their business doors. And even with that, they still have rent that has to be paid. They still have mortgages that has to be paid. Is there anything that the city's going to be able to do to even assist some of the small businesses?
Yeah, we've had a lot of conversations about that. Of course, there is the utility relief like we were talking about, and I think the governor's order provided some of that, and then some of the utilities have done that out of the goodness of their hearts. And there are a number of programs that we are encouraging local businesses to avail themselves of. There are everything from federal programs to state programs to nonprofit programs. We have tried our best to link a lot of those on the city's website. We've set up a sort of resource page for people, and that's basically the city's website, www.cityofclintonnc.com/coronavirus, is where we have a lot of those business resources. And then we also have the other side of that, which is links to some of the unemployment information. And one of the campaigns that the city, and in fact every municipality in Sampson County, along with other partners, is involved in, is a Sampson Strong campaign, which is predominantly an awareness campaign to try to get the word out to people that, when the time comes that we do start shopping again, which it looks like that time is fast approaching. When people do start shopping again, we want to make sure that they shop local.
All right. That's good, because the small business need all the support they can get, in these times. On the most part, a lot of times when it comes to constituents in my district particularly, they have concerns or questions, they'll reach out to me, whether it be Facebook, whether by phone, or even text. If some that in the community, they want questions answered, who can they call? What number can they call? How can they get in contact with someone?
So we're here at all the same phone numbers that we've always been here at. I'd love to say, call me, I'll fix it all, but I would say give my staff a chance to try to fix it first. So all the departments are here, they're answering their phones. We've relaxed certain requirements, we've enhanced ways that we provide service remotely. We're learning how to do more things by email and online. We have a very underutilized report a concern or request a service feature on our website that's very effective. When you put that form in, it shoots to the 4 or 5 people that assign tasks in some of our key departments, and it gets done quickly. In fact, I go in sometimes and anonymously submit ones myself, because I've always felt as though, if I say the stop sign's worn out, Public Works is going to go and put a stop sign out, but I want to see how they handle an anonymous complaint,
right.
When they don't know who it is, and the city is very responsive to those things. So I would encourage people to use those website forms and give us a call, because we are still here, and we're still here to keep doing those things people expect of us.
All right. So once again, Tom Hart, our city manager for the city of Clinton. Hey, we appreciate the work you do, and we thank you. Next, we have our Chief of Police, Chief Donald Edwards. We just want to ask some questions that many of our community have concerns about. And so one of the questions that many are asking are, what are stay-at-home orders? People have heard that sort of terminology, and they feel like there is a curfew or something that has been instated. So could you explain what are stay-at-home orders?
I appreciate that question. You speak about one thing specifically, was curfews. The stay-at-home orders are directives that are issued from the governor's office as a part of the declaration, the emergency declaration. And basically it is directives for people to remain at home and not travel unless they are taking care of some essential function for their family or their home. So they can travel as long as they're taking care of necessary business and they're visiting, essential establishments and things. There was no curfew, and there was a little bit of confusion with, whether there was a curfew. There was no curfew that was issued with the governor's order. Some communities may have when they made more restrictive guidelines for their own, but the city of Clinton did not pursue the curfew.
So with the stay-at-home orders, have we seen a decline in criminal activity, or has that crime increased because you have people who are working that are not working, and now they're at home more, children aren't in school? How has that had an impact on crime locally?
Locally, we have not seen the coronavirus have an impact on our crime, except for the opportunities, the locations that are available, the locations of businesses that are open, people are at home. So it's kind of moved the criminal element toward those avenues of opportunity. But as far as the crime numbers and figures, coronavirus has not had any impact on it.
Wow, that's good news. Also there's been quite a few that were concerned about gatherings, local gatherings, even in worship services. Are they still permitted? If so, what are the guidelines for those?
There has been a lot of confusion about the gatherings and what was permitted. When the executive order came out, there was some confusion about what church services could do, and even when they limited gatherings to 10 people. And we have worked with a lot of our church leaders and the church community and addressing some of those. We get phone calls at the office, and we've talked to them about what the intent of the governor's executive order is, and we've tried to work with those individuals so that they could establish something that's safe for their community while still being able to worship. And I think as people start looking at the new executive order that's going to take effect on Friday, you'll see that there's going to be some changes that are permitted in that executive order. Specifically allows outside services as long as there's still some monitoring with the social distancing and the number of people that are gathered at one location. So there's going to be some leniency, I think, you see in that executive order.
Yeah, I've noticed that some worship services have been held outside recently, almost like a drive-in, with people in their cars, and I thought that was unique. Is something like that permissible?
It is permissible, and that was some of the phone calls that we were getting, and when we were talking with the preachers and the leaders at the churches, we even encourage some of those things in our community. If you have the ability to do that and do it safely, then we strongly encourage it, because the community still needs that outreach and that contact.
Okay. So with all the stipulations and the orders that are coming from the state, whether it be business owners, whether it be houses of worship, every so often you have those that say, look, I really can't afford to close the doors of my business, or, I can't afford not to have services. For those who intentionally violate those orders, are there consequences or repercussions because of that?
A violation of the executive order is a misdemeanor. It is an arrestable offense. We've been very fortunate in our community that we've been able to meet these individuals and talk about these concerns, and not just our department. The city manager's been able to talk with, and even council's been able to talk with individuals and explain, what can be done, and kind of work with them within the parameters of those executive orders so that they can still do things. And one thing for businesses to remember is there's always the avenue. If you weren't included in the exemptions for the businesses that were required to be closed, you can always reach out to the Department of Revenue and get yourself classified. Naturally, if you're a barbershop or something along those lines, it's clearly restricted. They still have restrictions on some of those businesses. But if you're questionable about your business, reach out to the Department of Revenue and pursue that.
Okay, sounds good. Is there anything that that the community can do in support with the police department and throughout all of this? Is there anything that you see that is being left undone where you could get more cooperation with?
Our community has always done very well during times of crisis. Even during any of the storms that we've been through, this coronavirus, and as we work through it, is no different than any of the storms. The city of Clinton comes together, they're united, and when we come through a crisis, we come through it even stronger. I can't ask the community to do any more than to remain patient, understanding, and know that it's their actions that have allowed us to respond and the health workers to respond to this crisis more safely and more efficiently, and it's all because of the response we've got from our citizens.
Okay. Look, I appreciate you taking the time, to discuss these questions, with our audience here. Once again, we have our Chief of Police, Donald Edwards, and thank you and appreciate the work you do.
Thank you.
Hello, I'm here today with the mayor of Clinton, and just got a few questions we want to ask him, in reference to the pandemic that we're experiencing on a municipal level. And so, Mr. Mayor, I just wanted to know, how many cases do we currently have right now?
As of today, we have 100 cases in Sampson County. I get a daily, sometimes several times daily report that gives us that. I think yesterday we had 91, it's now up to 100. But we constantly monitor that throughout the days, 7 days a week, 24 hours a day. I get those reports and we monitor those situations. But as of today, it is at 100.
Okay. I noticed also that there's been quite a few increase in the cases in the past couple of days, even the weeks. But yet it seems that there's this rush to get things started back. Is that a concern for you?
It's very much a concern for me, and I think everybody is torn with what the right thing to do. Everybody that I know wants to reopen. But everybody I also know wants to remain safe and wants this to be open. So we're kind of torn as to what thing to do. So we have to balance what to do. And I heard an analysis the other day. It's not mine. I wish I could take credit for it, but I cannot. Reopening everything is like walking across a complete covered iced pond. And once you get so far into it, you can't turn back. So you want to be very careful when you walk out there that you're not making a bad decision. No one wants this stay at home and no business any more than I do. I mean, this is against every grain in my body. However, we also have to balance getting over this. Is a little more pain now necessary to completely get over it. That's a balance that we're having to balance. And I am very much wanting to get back to normal. But on the other hand, I want to be sure that we're not hurting ourselves by doing so. So it's a balance, and I think our governor, our president, and all of our health officials are really doing their best to try to, and you can agree or disagree with what they do, but I think everybody is sincere in that we all want to get things back to normal, but we don't want to make a mistake in moving too fast. So that's the kind of the question. So do we have concern? Absolutely. But I think that I go into all the stores and all the see people in the mask, and I think people are trying to do the balance. So I'm hoping that and let me say this too, the governor and the president has so much more access to information than we do. I don't have access to that information. Our hospital here is wonderful with information, our health department, but we don't have the tracking information that they do on the state and national level, so we have to listen to that. We can debate open or not open, and I'm for moving as fast as we can safely, but I don't want us to make a mistake.
Yeah, I can appreciate that, moving as fast as we can safely, and like you said, it is a balance. I remember the governor earlier today, he spoke about a phase 1 plan, and can you elaborate on that a little?
I listened to the governor and appreciate all he's done. As I understand phase 1, it's basically loosening things up just a tad, for lack of a better term. It didn't do a whole lot. It kept restaurants that take out or walk in and all. It really didn't do a lot, but it lightened things a little bit. And I think that the governor is truly, whether you agree with the decision or not, I think that the governor is truly doing what he feels is best in trying to, number one, restart the government and restart the everything, but on the other hand, be safe. So this phase is I call it stay home light. It's not changed much, but it's starting that process. I hope these numbers and trends continue to go down and we can open things back up again. I do.
There's also been a few questions from some of our constituents regarding, can a local municipality, do they have the ability to override, any executive orders coming from?
I do not believe you do. I have not significantly researched that issue, but I do not believe a local government can override a national or state government. But let me say this, on whatever issue it is, I would feel very hesitant for me as a mayor to try to override a state or national person, because I don't feel like I have the information that they have. Mm-hmm. They have the doctors, they have the statistics, they have the things, so I would be very, very hesitant to override something that our governor, whoever it is, or our president, whoever it is, did, because I know for a fact that they have information that we don't have, that I don't have. And so for the safety of our citizens, I don't feel like that me as a mayor, not a doctor, not a scientist, I don't feel like I have enough information to override the experts that are trying to guide us through this situation.
That's fair, and I understand that. But was there anything else that you would like to share with those that are in our community?
I would. I just want to say that on behalf of the city, I again thank you for your patience and understanding. To our city citizens, thank you for immediately adhering to all the rules and regulations that have been put out by our health department here, by our officials, state, national, and otherwise. Everybody's glued to their television. And I think everybody, all in all, is trying to comply with the rules and regulations. I'm very aware that this is painful, it's not pleasant, and it's killing our businesses, our small businesses, our infrastructure here. Our downtown's a ghost town. I understand that. But I also have to believe that our president and our governor and our other officials who are relying daily, hourly, by the minute on the scientists to tell us what to do, I have to believe that they're moving in the right direction. So with that, I would say to everybody, please have patience and understand that we're all in this together. We get the same information daily, and we probably get a little more than some of the citizens. But we're doing the very best we can do under these circumstances, and we thank the citizens for their patience and continued understanding and following the rules and regulations, and to our wonderful staff here in the city. We've not missed one trash pickup, one police call, one fire department, one anything because of this. We have a wonderful relationship with our county, wonderful relationship with our health department, and a wonderful, wonderful relationship with our hospital. We needed some protective equipment. I called our hospital, the manager got with them, and I think that has been solved. We have a good relationship working around. Nobody likes this. Everybody's frustrated with it, no more than I'm frustrated with it. But I would say to the citizens, thank you for your patience and understanding, and this too will pass.
All right. Once again, we thank you,
Thank you.
for taking time to address these issues and these concerns. Our mayor, Lou Starling, and we appreciate what you do. Thank you.
Thank you.